say the books, the types of books that I was reading were wisdom books. They were Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, or the works of Seneca, or the Bhagavad Gita, or the Upanishads, or any number of wisdom type works. And whenever I would read something in them that struck a chord with me, that connected with me on some level for some reason, I wrote it down on a sticky note. I wrote down what the quote was. I wrote down what it was about it that connected with my life. And then my book that's out now, Begin Again, Utilize the Wisdom of Eastern and Western Ideologies to Achieve Your Full Potential. What that book is a collection of 183 essays, each of which started as a sticky note from that reading. So for me, the behavior that worked was physical, getting up and getting moving, doing some stretching. And I tried various versions, just a little bit of stretching, full on, cardio workouts for however long. I had to find a balance in the middle of what worked for my body, but to get up and move a little bit and then sit down and get my mind working. Not with work stuff, not with life stuff, but with just me stuff, wisdom things that I needed to contemplate and really just do some searching for myself in those moments, and journaling. So I would write on the sticky notes. I would also journal in those times as well. So for me, that behavioral routine and all of that with the stretching and the reading and the writing took about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on whatever, but usually about 30 to 45 minutes is what I would budget for all that. And that was enough. And I felt energized, and I felt at peace when I was beginning the day. I didn't just wake up and launch myself right into all the have to dos. I was able to have a little transition time between sleeping and life. So the mindset shift from pessimism to optimism, and the behavioral shift of providing myself with transition time in the morning to really explore deeper level things that for me were really important. Those are things that helped me during challenging times.
Very interesting. And you seem to be, as we mentioned before, very adaptable, especially, in life in general. But I'm trying to figure, with these two things that you just pinpointed and just kind of expanded on, did you go out your way, like purposefully try to, make these things that you wanted to improve on, or was it more a thing that you just came to you and, I figure, okay, let me try it and try to figure it out.
Well, it's funny. It's kind of like there's a phrase called "physician heal thyself," and it's I went to school for a long time for psychology stuff, and so when I'm going through the challenges, it really is about that. It's like, all right, let me bring this back to me. I've taught it enough times. I've coached people enough times. I've worked people through programs on this stuff enough times, and the focus has been on others, but I need to turn it back on myself. And I need to take some of my own advice, which can be one of the hardest things for us to do sometimes, is take our own advice. But that's what I did. And I realized, I understand the connection of the body and the mind and the emotions, and how all of those things are synergistically woven together in ways that you cannot extricate one from the other. They're just together. They are a single entity that is synergistic in nature. And and so I had to find ways to feed each of those, and through the stretching and the exercise, through the challenging, and really thinking through the wisdom material, and then writing it out, feeling in the journal, what's going on with me emotionally. Am I anxious? Am I stressed? Am I happy? Am I at peace? And really exploring that level too. All of those combined, I had to find ways to feed each of them. And socially, I'm an introvert on a huge level, and so for me, I would rather just stay isolated in my house, particularly when I don't feel good, when I'm in a depressed place.
Yeah.
I also know that's bad. So I had to reach out to some friends. I started doing I started doing magic, close up magic with cards, and I'd do that with some friends, sometimes just over the computer. But all those things were, yes, you asked if they were intentional. They were intentional because I knew that those were the things that I had to do, as much as I didn't want to do them often. They were what I had to do in order for me to grow in the way that I wanted to, and to be the person I wanted to be. which is something when I talk to people about motivation is really important. And that's one of the programs that I offer because we get into those places where we're not motivated. We don't want to do these things, but we know they need to be done, or at least we think they should be done. So what do we do? How do we create conditions that will make it more likely that we will engage in these behaviors that we need to do? And and that's one of those things, is really connecting the behaviors to something integral to us, that's really a core value that we hold, a core belief that we hold, something about our identities that really define who we are. Connecting that to the behaviors, that's the best way to again, not guarantee, because there were certainly days that I stayed in the bed and I did not get up, and that those days happened, but I at least set conditions for the behaviors I knew would be most helpful for me to happen more often by actively, regularly reminding myself of how those things connected to who I am and who I want to be.
And that's amazing, man. It sounds like you've been doing the work, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. As you mentioned, you don't necessarily want to do some of these things, but it's a necessity when you come to when it relates back to self growth, self development, understanding. So I commend you because it's not easy. It's a lot of discipline that comes with it. The next thing to this point, how have you transformed over the years compared to the middle and now, as opposed to the beginning, before you became this person you are today?
Yeah, it's funny. I people have said, every 10 years you go through some kind of change or something's different or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but it has been for me. I when I was 20, that's when I started doing stunts. That's when I decided I was going to be a stuntman. That's when I swore up and down that I would never darken the door of another university for the rest of my life. And, then around 30, I had two graduate degrees, and not too much later, I was a faculty member at a university. Never going to have a real job. Next thing you know, at 30, I'm working for the U.S. Army with a real job. Never going to get married. Been done that twice, getting ready to go on a third one. It just, so life has changed tremendously. I look back to how I was in my 20s, early 20s, and there's a lot of similarity. I still am very curious. I still am very I want to push the edge. I want to push the envelope. I'm working on a job. I'm 51. I just turned 51 Saturday. But I'm working on a job this next year, or not next, but next week, that is, it's on a TV show. It's called The Cleaning Lady, and I'm going to do a fight up on this sailboat that's on a trailer, get knocked off, and it's about, I don't know, 10-foot drop down to the ground, but there's a picnic table there. So I'm supposed to get knocked off the boat, clip the picnic table, and go to the ground. And that's stuff that, again, when I was 20, I was looking to do for nothing. I was like, hey, let me just do that. And now I don't know that I would do it for nothing, but I'm looking forward to the job. It's going to be a fun thing. I'm looking forward to that challenge, because that's just the type of stuff that, I don't know, that just gets me fired up, that I really enjoy. So there's some similarity, but at the same time, at 2025, I wasn't sitting down reading any books. I wasn't, was no journaling going on. It was an entirely different set of priorities with being single and planning to stay that way for so yeah, over the years, it's just, life does what it does. Some of it has been the result of my choices. Some of it has been just what life does. Things come up, things are different, stuff changes, and you either go with it, or it's like, I forget which, I think it was one of the Roman philosophers who wrote something about, now I might be wrong, but it's imagining a dog going behind a cart. So there's a dog tied to the cart, and the cart's going along. Well, the dog can walk behind the cart, and if the cart turns right, then the dog can choose to turn right, or the dog cannot and try to go left, but the dog's going to end up going right anyway. So you can get dragged that way, or you can just walk that way. But life's going to take you where it does. And again, you can do it on all four legs, or you can just get dragged however you want to do it. So I've tried to walk on all four legs, although there have certainly been times that I've been dragged as well. So
So you could do it the easy way, you could do it the hard way.
that you're going one way or the other. Life's going to take you in the direction that it does. Again, sometimes it's our choice, our decision, or at least we think it is to go that way. It's a whole nother discussion about free will and whether it actually exists. But other times, you just get something happens. I've had usually at least once a year, I'll have one of my students. I'm a doctoral dissertation chair
Yeah,
for Grand Canyon University. And at least once a year, one of my students, something will happen. House will burn down, somebody will die, somebody will end up in the hospital, hurricane will come, flood somebody. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen. Life's going to move you in a different direction. It doesn't always have to be bad. I mean, you just have opportunities come up out of nowhere. Somebody gives you a call and like, hey, what do you want to do this? Well, that wasn't at all in the plans, but sure, being open to those opportunities when they come. We talked about that earlier.
yeah, that's crazy. Is there a sort of culture that you resonate with that you've sort of created for yourself, like your environment that you're in, and it's sort of like your own personal thing that you now obviously it's somewhat rhetorical because at this point I can kind of tell, you know, but could you speak to us about the culture that you have about yourself? Um, Perhaps relating back to the experiences that you've had over the years and being pinpointing, selecting things that work for you, that things that are necessities. These are what I'm speaking about. Could you tell
Hmm.
us something about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily at the moment, I don't have a regular job, so I'm able to make my own schedule. And what that means is that I'm available for my kids. I can take them to school. I can pick them up from school. I can take them to soccer practice and climbing practice, and I can go to those things in the middle of the day if the school has something going on or they get sick. So that's an important part of my culture, a thing that I really value is having that freedom of my own time to make for my family, for myself. Again, exercising is something I do at least once a day, if not twice a day, because I'm getting older. So at least I'll stretch twice a day to keep my body where I can stay flexible enough to do the things I like to do. Um, and then I also try to find time to I have books everywhere. I have books everywhere. I have decks of cards everywhere. So I make time for magic. So I try my best in terms of the culture that I have to surround myself with driven, high performing people. I really like that. I like surrounding myself with people who are also curious, who aren't locked into one path, one mindset, who are open to other possibilities and opportunities and pursuing those, exploring the world, not just our little bubbles, but different countries, other cultures. These are the types of people I try to surround myself with. So in terms of my mindset, it's what's today going to bring? I tell my daughter every morning, I said, as I wake her up, I say, big day today. Every day is a big day. It's a big day today. Why is it a big day, Dad? What are you kidding me? This is the only December 2nd, 2024 that you are ever going to get. This is it. There's not going to be another one. What do you mean? Why is it a big day? This is a big day. Get up, make the most out of it, make it happen. So, that's the kind of approach that I try to bring into the day. I don't know what the day is going to bring, but I try to bring all of myself into it and create the time that I need to feed, like I was talking about earlier, to feed those different aspects of myself that really put me at my best.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I admire how excited you are about life, especially at your age. Certain people they somewhat distance themselves from living when you get to a certain age. So I hope when I get to that age at 50s, I would still be as excited as you are. But that's I think that's speak to the mindset that you're talking about as well. And I would say pinpoint, that positive mentality that you have where, you're always glass half full and you're always excited about what's next, what's coming, and where you are. You know what I mean?
Well, I believe that something can come. I mean, I get hit with all kinds of things that I would rather not get hit with on many, many days. But I also know, and this may be a function of just how I've lived too, because as a stuntman, you never know when you're going to work. You never know for how long. But the way it happens is you just live life the way you normally live it. And then the phone rings and somebody says, hey, you available on whatever day to work on this show? and it comes out of nowhere. And that's how it is. So you don't know when you're going to work. You don't know when the call is going to come, but then it does. And so I've had 3 decades of that. So I know that even when I'm just living life and going about my business and doing my things, now you got to set conditions that people aren't going to call you if they don't know who you are, and they don't. So there's work to be done to put yourself into positions for these opportunities to arise. But they do. Things come up, and if you're open to it and you're aware of it and willing to lean into it, then yeah, you never know. You never know what kinds of things are going to come up.
Yeah, yeah. I really appreciate your time and you coming on. I actually had more things to say, but I think we're running low on time. I just wanted to give you the floor. Just speak about your book and maybe let them know where you can find it.
Okay, yeah, the book, like I said, is called Begin Again. Utilize the wisdom of Eastern and Western ideologies to achieve your full potential. 183 essays that came out of my self growth, that just came from my time of just trying to better myself and move myself forward in life. That's where these things came from. But the structure of them is very simple. It's just, here's a challenge that many of us face. Here's some information about that. And here are some actionable steps that if you take them during the day, you're probably going to see some benefit from it. So that's the book. And then I also, my website is Brian Hite, BrianHite, global.com. And that's where you can find me. If anything that I've said resonates with you, I'm available for speaking engagements. And honestly, too, if you've ever had challenges with performing under pressure or in high stakes situations or with motivation, or keeping your mind focused and really or feeling overwhelmed really with performance situations, and you don't have a mentor that can help you walk through those things in a way that makes sense to you, I encourage you, go to the website, take a look at some of the programs that I have, and if anything speaks to you, reach out, send me an email just saying, hey Brian, I'd love to talk, or you can just schedule on there for a discovery call, let me know. But that stuff can be very, very helpful. So that's where you can find me on the website. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram is Brian underscore height 23. So that's it. And thank you so much for the opportunity to come on the show. I really enjoyed the conversation with you.
It's my pleasure. It's been great having you on. And thanks for giving me some of your time. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, Brian, hi. Thanks so much. Take care.
All right. Take it easy.
Mind over matter, overcompensating, overstatements, crookedness relating, a soul's churn in return, mental overstimulation, one word, riveting, it terrors my pilot. Streams that are promised to make seeking less.